We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to amazing episode of Keepin It Rio. I am very, very happy today with the guest we've got, Mr. Eric the Roofer Richardson out of San Diego, California. So without any further ado, let me hit our intro real quick, and we're going to come back and have one of the best Keepin It Rio episodes of all time. Be right back. All right, everybody, welcome to Keepin It Rio. This is going to be a great one. I'm super excited for our guest today, which is our great friend out of San Diego, California, Mr. Eric Richardson. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, the great Chuck Allen.
Oh, man, that is a wonderful way to start. We can only go downhill from here, right? No worries. So, hey, how's everything going over in San Diego today? You're like the most famous guy over there that we know from the roofing industry. How's everything looking? What's the weather like?
Today, let's see, what's today going to be? Today is going to have a high of it's going to be kind of chilly today. Let me go to Weather Underground. That's the best app I use. I don't know. What do you guys like for your weather tracking apps?
Whichever one tells me it's going to be good weather for roofing. I've got about 20 options. Whichever one gives me the desired results, that's my favorite for the day.
So
I end up cussing it by the end of the day, typically.
Yeah, see, ours is pretty predictable. Our weathermen just say it's going to be another hot and sunny day. But today, I think the high is going to be 73 today.
73. That's not too shabby. I think that's about what we've got. Actually, it's going to be about 60 here in Texas. So tropical climates galore over in San Diego. Yeah. You've been over there pretty much. Were you born and raised in San Diego, or what's Eric the Roofer's life story looking like?
So I'm third generation San Diego. When you grew up in San Diego, you're in high school. Kind of a prerequisite is to leave your house, leave your home, move down to Mission Beach or Pacific Beach. That's kind of the hopping in spot for the 20-year-olds. And so that's kind of a rite of passage. But when you go out and you meet people, you're like, yeah, where are you from? They're like, oh, San Diego. And then they say, well, where are you from before that? And I say, no, San Diego. It's a very, very transplanted town. It's a very huge military town. And so there's not a lot of people that you meet are actually from here. And so it really throws people off when you say, oh, no, I was born here, third generation. My parents grew up here. My grandparents grew up here. And so, yeah, it's all I know, San Diego.
I love it. I'm closely related to several friends from San Diego. My partners, Clint Koppel, Leanne, and Joseph Kozel. We're San Diego, and they ended up down in East Texas. Thank the good Lord, because I would have never known them otherwise. But the San Diego connection is strong for sure. I love that. We actually got a chance to go to the San Diego State bowl game. They were playing against the UTSA Roadrunners down in San Antonio there. We've got an office, so had a little rivalry with my branch manager, Jeremy, and JoJo, and I got to be the benefactor. I got to be the one that got to go and watch them kind of square off, and I didn't have any dog in the fight, so it was fun, but definitely a cool thing. So you're down there, you're doing roofing, right? You've been roofing specialist of San Diego for how long? How long has your business been up there? And
so I got licensed in 2002. Now, I wasn't roofing specialist of San Diego in the beginning. I was called Alliance Roofing. This is kind of pre-internet. And so pre-internet, you wanted your name to be in the front of the phone book. And so it was always about picking the A. The letter A was a lot of people, just like the internet, a lot of people don't go to page 2 of Google. So it's all about being on that first presence. And so once I would say I rebranded in 2014. That's when I decided to get my a website, and nobody was Googling the words Alliance when they search for roofing. And so I researched the strong keyword terms, and I had to have those keywords in my name.
Roofing specialist. Those two things you're looking for, right? That's tremendous. So you were kind of right there at the forefront. You were able to adapt and, continue moving forward. I know a lot of people that are still working on that, and some that probably never will get to that point, but seeing that and understanding how the future was going to look, that's probably been hugely beneficial to you. I know that you're a major guy on the social media. Everybody knows Eric the Roofer, and you get out there pretty good. But how do you utilize technology nowadays, especially in a market where you're not getting the blessing of having hailstorms every year or two, and you're kind of, you're relying upon, I guess, your retail skills and just being one of the better known guys out there? How does that work for you?
So it's in a non-storm market. I have a lot of people who they'll do a lot of research before they actually reach out to try to do a project. So customers will go to the BBB, customers will go to Yelp, customers will go to Google, and they'll do a lot of research. So by the time I get a phone call, they've landed on my website, they've read my reviews, they've cross-checked me with other directories like BBB and Yelp just to make sure it's a credible business. They'll search it on the maps to see how close it is to their house. And so by the time I'm getting that call, it's a very high intent lead. The customer has gone to Google, they've gone to all these other forums and done a lot of research. And so by the time you get that call, they've whittled all 200 plus roofers that are in San Diego down to the people that they actually want to call, the people they want to do business with. And so by the time I get in there, it's only up to me to drop that ball. They're dead set. I get a lot of people actually calling where it's maybe a little bit higher technical job, where we can't just pump a bid out overnight. Maybe we're getting some price quotes for some tapered ISO or some specialty products. And then they'll actually call back. Hey, I haven't got your estimate. I'm still waiting for your estimate. I haven't called anybody else. I want you to do my work. And so I learned that in the very beginning that the customers are doing a lot of research. And so we try to make sure that we're there. I treat roofing sales and roofing marketing kind of like going fishing. You don't just launch your boat, unplug your fish finder and just go aimlessly cast around the lake, right? You scout the terrain, you scout where the wind, you scout where the fish are, where their beds are, if it's spawning season, and then you go to where the fish are. You're going to have a better success at catching fish rather than just aimlessly casting your bait.
Man, that's tremendous right there. I've never heard that comparison, but I love it. You're in San Diego, obviously. The hail stuff and I don't know about wind. Maybe you have a little bit of wind that you work with, but it's majority, probably 99.99% retail. And I don't know the correct way to say it without sounding, maybe a little off, but here in Texas, for example, we're looking basically at, on average, about every 7 years, you're going to get a hailstorm in any of these markets that are going to need, a complete restoration of entire communities of roofs. Obviously, without the blessings of the storms and the damage that, can affect those roofs out there. What does it look like for you? You work with a client. Obviously, you're trying to build a relationship for life. But realistically, when you put a roof on out there, what are you looking at? I mean, they're living a lot longer life out there, obviously, in the beautiful San Diego conditions than they are here. How does that look? And, how do you guys go out and find opportunities?
So we don't actually look for the opportunities. We wait for those opportunities to look for us. We're probably on about a 30-year cycles instead of a 7-year cycle with your storm. And so a lot of the roofs that I go and look at, for instance, yesterday we tore off, it was the old Decra stone coated steel shingle type metal roofing. That was installed over wood battens that was installed over wood shakes. A lot of our original home builders were built with wood shake. And so you're looking at this guy had a 28-year-old stone-coated roof over a 30-year-old shake roof. And so nobody has touched any fascia board in the last like 60 years on this home when the house was built. This house has only had 2 roofs in its entire lifespan. And now we have to put plywood over the skip sheeting, and put on our Owens Corning duration cool shingles and all the bells and whistles. And so it's really about, I would say, a 30-year lifespan on all of our roofing, even our tile. So right now, you drive down the road and you see new tracks being built, you see new communities being built. Nothing is being built with shingles. I would say we're probably at maybe a little less than 50% tile roof, maybe a little bit more by now. And so even the tile roofs, the tile itself, concrete takes 80 years to cure. There's no denying that tile is going to last hundreds of years. You can go to places in Asia, in Europe, you can find 200-year-old tile roofing. But out here with our heat climate, we about every 30 years, we take that tile off. We put new underlayment, new pipe flashings, new valley metal, new tile pan, drip edge, eave riser, bird stop. We basically update it all, but we reuse that old tile. So it's kind of different. Like I'll go and see an old Monair tile that's discontinued. And a lot of you guys out there in the other parts of the country are like just salivating over a discontinued tile. We actually reuse them. We'll give them the option of, here's a lift and lay price at $650 a square. All we have to do is buy paper and materials of flashings and stuff. And then it's mostly labor. Or we tack on the tear off of $125, throw away the tile, and then throw on brand new tile if they don't like the look of it, if they want to change it. I would say we give them those options, good, better, best, and we let them make those decisions. And I would say 80% of them are basing that decision, just keeping that same tile, doing what we call as a lift and lay. So when you go on a tile roof that's 30 years old, that underlayment's really brittle. And so we have to be very, very careful when we walk on those roofs. It's not the tile I'm worried about damaging. It's my body weight pushing into that Malibu tile or that S tile. And on the back of the tile that you got the lugs, and it's kind of jagged concrete because they're just stamped into like a little template. And so at 30-year-old tile paper, when you walk on it, your body weight is now kind of making stress cracks in that paper that is super brittle. What I like to do is take a piece of paper out, brand new paper, 40-pound UDL, Burrell or Malarkey, and I'll have them bend it, they'll fold it, they'll see it crease, they'll see it come back into shape. When then they take a 30-year-old piece of tile paper and then they try to bend it and it just snaps, and it's like asbestos dust just goes, it's so dry. So it's very important that about every 30 years you change out your paper. And the same thing with the shingles. I've been around since installing elk. I still don't even have fingerprints because I used to hand nail elk shingles back in the 90s. And so with our shingles, what they used to do is they used to make a 20-year, 25-year, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year shingle based on the thickness of that shingle. Your 50-year shingles were 4 bundles per square. Your 30 were 3 bundles per square. You could feel the difference in those actual shingles. Well, when they got rid of those, they broke it down into 2 tiers. There's your preferred contractor, your regular contractor. You know as well as I knew that they only saved that 30-year shingle. So they got rid of the thicker, the 40, they got rid of the thickest, the 50. They kept that 30-year shingle, they repackaged it, they rebranded it, and now it's 2 tiers. There's your preferred contractor and your regular contractor. Your regular contractor is only going to get a material warranty of 10 years, true protection for 10 years. It's going to prorate that material at year 11. You're going to lose 100% of that labor coverage at year 11. But when you go with a preferred contractor, they're able to register an extended warranty. That's a 50-year labor, 50-year material warranty. You register it right on Owens Corning's, the OC Connect portal. And what it does is it allows to get a 50-year labor, 50-year material warranty, non-prorated for the full 50 years, transferable one time. And so I know that those shingles aren't going to last 50 years. There's no way they're going to last 50 years. It's actually thinner now than what it used to be when it was a 30-year shingle. And so I went and I sat down with my Owens Corning rep. Big shout out to my Owens Corning rep. His name is Chuck Gallant. Avid skier. He's like Cert 4 ski instructor. Dude, he just got a bad wreck. He went heli skiing in Alaska last week on Monday. On Tuesday, he basically went off like 100+ foot cliff. He broke both his arms, broke ribs, broke back, broke vertebrae, busted his eyeballs, fractured his eye sockets, ruptured his spleen. Dude's in bad shape right now.
Man,
Still stuck in Alaska. But I sat down with him and I said, okay, I need to reverse engineer every loophole that you try to get out of at year 40 out of these warranties. And believe it or not, they really work. Like I do probably 5 or 6 of them a year where the customer calls me or they go and fill out a contact form on the Owens Corning Find a Contractor site. And then they submit their warranty card. That warranty card gets now put over to ABC, for instance. ABC gets a credit for my material. They take off money off the top of that prorated amount. We just did one last month. I want to say the material bill was like $6,500. His prorated check was $1,900. So Owens Corning sends a rebate to ABC. ABC rebates $1,900 off my material bill. And then I go and do the project. I think I'm the only contractor signed up to do their warranty work on Owens Corning. So a lot of that gets funneled to me. And so it's very, very important that I close those loopholes with Owens Corning on where they're going to get out of that warranty claim. Now, going back to those 30-year shingles that are now 50-year, when they start getting granule loss, and I tell them, take this warranty card, put it in your safe, keep it next to your passports and your guns. It's very important because at year 30, we're going to circle back. We're going to come out. We're going to inspect your granule loss. And if we think that your shingles are starting to prematurely fail, we're going to submit everything to Owens Corning. So we really lead them off. We'll even take the Owens Corning Find a Contractor. You just go on Google and you type Owens Corning Find a Contractor. It'll pull up the list of all of the contractors that can offer that extended warranty. Right now, there's 222 roofers in my area that can offer that warranty that are preferred or platinum. Now, out of those 222, I go through the list and you can see because Owens Corning teamed up with Guild Quality. So every registered warranty that you turn in sends a Guild Quality review survey. Now, that happens all for free. So I get a lot of these cool surveys. Guild Quality, I don't pay for it. I just utilize the free service because they have their reviews don't crawl. You can't find them on the first page of Google. They're really useless. Customers aren't landing on them. They're not reading them. They actually have to type in the domain to actually see them. But they're very, very thorough. They're very thick and robust review templates. So I use those to pre-screen the review automations that go out via Yelp, BBB, Google, Yahoo. And so with that warranty, I close that loophole and I tell the customer, I go, look, you're only going to have to pay a roof one time with me. Go to Owens Corning, Find a Contractor. If there's anybody that is bidding against me on this, make sure that they're on this list first. Second, make sure they have reviews, because if they don't have any reviews, that means they've never registered their warranty. And I would say 12 to 15% of the contractors on that list are actually taking the time to register that warranty. I don't know why. It only $3 a square. I can't figure out why. There's actually a roofer in town because I'm right now I'm currently the vice president of the roofing association here in town. So I meet, monthly with all the roofers in town. And one time I was asking a guy, I was like, hey, how come you don't have any registered warranties with Owens Corning? Like what are you doing with that rebate money? Because you turn in your invoices and they give you rebate money that goes into your shopping account on that OC Pro Connect site. I utilize that money to buy my warranty. So I'm actually not coming out of pocket to buy the warranties. I'm just rolling my rebates into them. One of the roofers that I asked a question, he goes, well, I like getting those Visa gift cards. And I'm like, hey, dude, can you say that again? I really want to record that because I'm going to use that soundbite to go to my customers. Like, dude, this guy cares more about his Visa gift cards than buying your dang warranty. And so it's kind of a sales presentation pitch on how we do it, but we make sure that like every job comes with it. I know guys that they'll give them the level of the roof and that's, oh, you want the extended 50-year, that costs this much extra. Okay. We start there. That's it. They don't want, if they want to go down, call someone else. That means they're basing their decision off of price, and that's not who we want. They're probably going to be a problem customer.
Oh man, I'll tell you what you just said there for like the last 10 minutes was worth millions of dollars to anybody that's listening and watching this. If it's 300 years from now and they discover YouTube somewhere in the ground and they dig this video up, that's going to apply even then.
Yep.
And I'm with you because it amazes me really sometimes the limited, I don't want to say knowledge or education, but the limited presentation that people give to homeowners. And you can walk into these people's homes and just say, hey, look, has anybody explained this to you? And then you just explain it like you did. I start off most of the time with, hey, the common misconception nowadays is that there is a 30, 40 or 50-year shingle and that's, relative to the life expectancy. And when you explain this very simple concept to a homeowner, it's like, well, why would you want to go with anybody else? Because there's been people here that haven't explained that or may not know or may not understand, or like you say, they may not care. If you're not explaining it properly, you probably don't understand it. And that's an amazing thing right there that is so underutilized in our industry. The extended warranty, same thing. I do the same deals with Atlas. A 50-year non-prorated warranty is worth, it's Atlas Pro Gold, and it's probably worth more than that, honestly, to the homeowner. So providing that value when you put your systems together, I'm obviously you're using the fully branded OC system and getting them the highest levels that, other people in your market just aren't, they're not thinking like you. That's why you're Eric the roofer and not Eric the average guy. I can certainly respect that. We talked a little bit now about business. So this is all fun and games. We're roofers. We do roofs for a living. We have fun, but let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, I was listening to a podcast about maybe 3 or 4 months ago that you were on. It was a guy named Kevin, and I was on his show maybe a week or two before you, and that's how I was able to see it. And I was just super interested. You were kind of telling your life story, growing up in San Diego, some of the things that you've seen, some of the places you've been. And I was just going to see if you could maybe, give us a little bit of that story, maybe put a little different twist on it or something. And we could kind of riff off of that, because I think some of the stuff you've done is extremely interesting. And I think that's what makes you a very unique guest.
Well, California is way different than everywhere else. Like, you don't see a lot of California roofers in these Facebook groups. The very first Facebook group that I found was Mike Code, with roofing
salesman.
No, it was his Facebook group that were in the owners. The
owners RCO.
Group, right? Yep. RCO. That was the first Facebook roofing group that I ever knew about. Somebody on Mike's team, probably a salesperson or somebody, reached out and said, hey, we want you to join this group. Here's an invite to this group. So I joined this group. Because we're so different in San Diego and California that we're not really chasing the shiny objects. We're not knocking doors. We're not using these apps, these hail traces, and we don't have all of this technology base. So you don't really see California roofers going to all these conventions. You just don't see it. Like, it's a different world. And so we just rely on the customer calling us and then going out and giving them a bid and then doing the work. There's not much into it. It's really, really easy to run a retail business. It seems so much more difficult to deal with the insurance and the brokers and the weathering stuff and getting approved and then fighting back and forth of, well, how is this dude going to tell me what's included in my bid? That's why I started my own company. It's a free market in the United States. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to tell me what my price is? How are you gonna tell me what my overhead is? Like, it's just so bizarre to us California roofers. And so I kind of came onto the scene because I found this group, and it was really awesome to find other roofers that think the same way, that act the same way, that do the same thing, that where we can bounce ideas off of each other. And so I remember being in the RCO, and Kevin Burrell made a comment about he was in this other Facebook roofing group where somebody was picking on him, or they were talking trash, right? And so I was like, oh hell no, I got Kevin's back. So I went and jumped into this other roofing group to go and stick up for Kevin. And then it just kind of triggered me to find all these other groups. I was like, well, this is weird, dude. They don't have any of this out here. Our biggest convention out here is the Western states. I would say less than 5% of the roofers in California even go to the IRE, because you walk around and it's just not really, there's not a lot of booths that are for us.
Right.
And so you don't really see those guys, right? And so it just kind of it re-triggered me, because I've been in this thing. I dropped out of high school to start doing roofing. I've been doing roofing since 92. And so sometimes you get a little burned out, right? So I found these Facebook groups that kind of relit my fire a little bit, got me entertained. All I've ever, I scooped ice cream for 31 flavors, and then I did roofing. That's all I've ever done my entire life. And so that's kind of how I came onto the scene. There's a lot of guys that have asked me, like, dude, you just came out of nowhere, blazes glorying, and I'm like, well, that's just me. I'm not going to do anything half-ass. And I just found these groups that they're all intriguing to me.
That's an amazing story. And I'll tell you the truth. The whole opportunity for me in life came the exact same route. It was through Mike Code. I was in the industry. I've been in this for 24 years. This is my 24th year. And I was, going through, I was a delivery guy for years. I opened up a branch of a supply company. I got really burned out on that. I came to Texas. I was just getting started in residential sales, and I really had no idea what I was doing. I just kind of came in with the impression that, hey, I used to run a supply shop. I know all the things about all these materials, and this is what people care about. I was pretty quickly humbled on that, because I realized nobody really cares about that stuff at all. And they're looking for personality. They want people that they can trust and like and relate to. And once I started understanding that, it was a complete change. But really what happened was, one day I was on my Facebook. It was in the earlier days of the Facebook stuff. And sure enough, it was a Mike Code video. He was walking his dog, and it just caught my eye. And I kid you not, Eric, from that one video, my entire life has changed. This is, years and years later. Just this past Monday, I'm at an event at our corporate office for ASAP Roofing over in Tyler, Texas. I'm sitting right next to Mike Code on a panel of experts. We've got roofing company owners from all over the place. We had Chuck Taylor drive in from Indiana, and I'm sitting next to this guy thinking, wow, man, like, I was probably going to get out of the industry within maybe a couple weeks of the video actually finding its way onto my Facebook. And I got into this deal with Mike. I was not qualified to be in this group, but somehow I got into one of his mastermind groups. And that's what changed the entire course of my life. So it's interesting to hear you say that Mike Code's group was the first one that kind of got you in there, because I don't know how many people have that same story, but it's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Mike doesn't have any salespeople. It was him or somebody in that group that reached out to you directly, because, he's just an organic guy. He's Mike Code. Yeah. He's definitely not Mike Code Incorporated or, anything crazy like that. He's just a normal guy, but absolutely one of the best in the industry. And because of those groups, I've got friends all over the country. I'm talking to a buddy in San Diego right now. I've got friends in Wisconsin, all over the world, really. We've got guys in Canada that we have conversations with on a daily basis. So that's absolutely amazing. It was really cool, because I know it's rare. You traveled cross country last year and went to RoofCon.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, without going to too many of these, this is probably maybe your first convention you've ever gone to.
I've gone to the IRE twice and Western States twice.
Okay.
And since 2002.
Yeah, so it's a special occasion when you go out to a trade show. What were your thoughts on RoofCon? I thought it was absolutely amazing this year. Was really impressed with everything. I got to meet Eric the roofer and got a picture with you. That to me was worth the price of admission in its own. As someone that goes to them all the time, I thought it was great. As someone that doesn't go to them all the time, what was your takeaway from RoofCon and some of the things you brought back with you that you could actually apply in your market with your company?
So that was what was really cool about RoofCon was it was different than the IRE. I've only experienced the IRE and the Western states, and they're mostly just trade shows. There's no breakout sessions. There's no training classes. The stuff that you can actually take notes on and implement right away was phenomenal. The only thing it closely reminded me was of like Duralast. Every year, Duralast does their national sales party seminar thing. It was just last week in Tennessee. But it was the only other thing where very limited trade show, mostly all breakout, all education stuff. And so I really, really enjoyed that. I enjoy the authenticity of the people who are there, and the value that they bring. You can really tell when somebody is genuine or not. And you can tell everybody that attended RoofCon was very genuine. And I learned a lot. There was stuff that I took away. Now, some of it really wasn't related to my market area, but I can quickly kind of take an insurance process, reverse engineer it, and see how I can apply this to a retail market.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Being able to take the stuff that you learn and actually mold it to your personal needs. Being able to do that, I think that going to those events, I come back with 3 or 4 things that I try to implement at every one that I go to. I don't want to be crazy with that information overload, and I don't want to try to reinvent the wheel every single time I go to a conference. But you find these things, and it's like, oh, this guy's doing something over here that's kind of unconventional, but I think that could maybe work. It's just crazy enough that it might work. And I'll take a swing for the fences on stuff and see if I can't make, different moves, try to position myself differently. Here I am in College Station right now, and this is primarily a hail market. You've got, 95% asphalt here, probably, maybe there's metal roofing, but there's not a lot of specialty, no tile really to speak of, nothing really crazy. I'm working right now on trying to bring a porcelain roof system into the market, working directly with this company over in Dallas and trying to come up with something cool to separate myself. Because, once you get into this deal, you have to find a way to be different because everything, nowadays it's like, okay, we're going to do your roof. We'll do it for what the insurance proceeds are. Like you said, we're going to let them dictate. And this is what it is. We can't really do much about it. We like the business. We like the volume. And sometimes you'll get a good one and it'll pay pretty well. But like you said, there's a lot of headaches. I'm still chasing some insurance checks from 3, 4, 5 months ago. And, some of the things that you have to do to jump through hoops for it's a little crazy. I'm here in the midst of it and I think it's insane. So I can highly appreciate being different, taking that stuff and going back to where, you can apply it and be different from everybody else, knowing that nobody else is going to even put in the effort to get that knowledge. So it's pretty impressive. When you take a day off, Eric, which I know you're on the clock like me probably all the time, your head's always probably got ideas spinning around and things that you think of at 3 a.m. and write down on your notepad, but a day off for Eric the roofer. What are you doing over in San Diego? What's your passion? What do you like to, where do you like to hang out? What do you like to eat? What's cool to do over in San Diego on a regular day without roofing?
What is there not to do? I think I just read an article that we are the #1 active city in the nation right now. And then I think like Colorado or somewhere was next. Let's see. Yesterday, I got a call to go on Sunday to go off-roading out in the desert. I got a call from another person yesterday to go see if we wanted to run our train. We've been building these like train carts. So I'll take a axle and wheels, put a Briggs and Stratton lawnmower motor on it. We'll bolt some 5-gallon buckets on it. We'll turn it on and ride the abandoned tracks. See, I got an offer to go up to the base. Like, so we have this up at Camp Pendleton. It's right on the beach, and some of the south swells will direct and be better right there. So I got to, like, when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, you're from California. You guys are flakes." And so I had to redirect the stereotype that we're very flaky people. And I had to explain to them, it's not that we're flaky. Somebody called me yesterday asking, "Hey, you want to go snowboarding on Saturday?" Then somebody calls me the day after and says, "Hey, the surf's supposed to pick up. You want to go surfing on Saturday?" Somebody goes, "Hey, you want to go shoot guns on Saturday? You want to go ride dirt bikes in the sand dunes?" There's so much to do that you have to make a choice. And so you get all of these things that are opportunities to do. You're going to have to flake on a couple of them. So on a typical day with nothing on my calendar, I'll probably just come to the office, try to make something to do. I'll look around and say, "Hey, what can be organized better?" But that's only after I go and check maybe the surf. The very first guy that got me into roofing. So what it was I would cut class in high school. So after football season ended, the coach wanted you to just hang out 5th and 6th period and just hang out at the gym. Nobody was actually pushing iron. They were just kind of just yapping around. We'd like throw dice in the corner, or, you know what I mean? It was just a big waste of time. And so I would bounce, and I would go to the beach. It was right down La Jolla Shores, it was right down the road from me. And there was always this dude that was like my dad's age that was at the beach Monday through Friday. And I finally got the courage to paddle up to him one day. And I was like, "Dude, what's your story? How are you here Monday through Friday? My dad can't come to the beach Monday through Friday. How are you pulling this off?" And he told me he owned a roofing company, and he did the sales, and he had guys that do the work for him. So I was really intrigued with that. I was very impressionable at that time. I wanted to be a professional surfer. This guy was a pro surfer for 8 years on the tour, many magazine shots and videos he was in. So I was kind of starstruck by him. But when he told me that's how he made his living was roofing, I was like, "Dude, I'm in. I'm sold." And so his whole motto was not to be the richest guy on the block, but to have the most free time and the best time on the block. So as he watched all these dads drive to work, and he drove to the beach before he went to work, I really liked that. And so I've been very kind of nomadic in my early life, where with this guy that taught me roofing, we would go and bang out a couple roofs, save up our money, and then we'd bounce to Australia, bounce to Indonesia, bounce to Costa Rica, bounce to Baja. We would work hard and then go spend it on a surf trip, and then take off for like 30 days. And so it kind of instilled into me this nomadic lifestyle of not when the surf's up construction company. Like, if I could have named my company without backlash, I would have named it Not When the Surf's Up Roofing Company. Like, you ain't going to get a call back if there's surf that day. I'll probably show up with sand in my ears and wet hair to the very first appointment. But I was honest with myself about it, that was my life. That was not me trying to be lazy, trying to take a sidetrack. That was my focus. Like, I was more focused on being happy than being behind the axe grinding it all day.
And I'll tell you what, Eric, that is what I love about our industry. Number one, this is the most amazing industry in the world. It's the greatest kept secret, I believe, of all time, because people look down on roofers and assume that, we've all got problems and we're all, kind of shady characters. But at the end of the day, this has afforded so many people opportunities that we probably could have never dreamt of. And the thing that everybody I talk to that really is getting a lot out of life has in common with this is it's never about the money. None of us ever started this to go make $100 million or, you know, people always use that as your hook to get into the industry. You know, make six figures, you can set your own schedule. That was really never my thing. It's always been, I wanted to enjoy what I was doing. And I've said since I was a little boy, really, you know, if I was working at a fast food place and I loved it, I worked at White Castle for almost 5 years from, you know, the time I was a legal age till I was almost 20 years old. And it was fun. It wasn't going to make me millions of dollars or anything like that, but it was great. I outgrew that and I've continued to move on. And I think the most important thing about this is doing it for the right reasons and doing it for pure reasons. And I'm around a family, you know, with the ASAP group and all of my Rio Blanco team. And that's something that they really impressed upon me from the get-go is the money's there. I mean, this is a lucrative industry. If you help the right people and you take care of people and you do the right thing, word of mouth itself is going to make you a tremendous living. I don't even do, you know, leads at this point. I just take referrals. I get emails from people that I've worked with in years gone by and they're ready to do something. So they just reach out. It's never been about the money. And I think that, you know, the key to happiness is just understanding that you got to make yourself happy, right? You get burned out if you focus on this stuff too much as a business type deal and, you know, concern yourself. I know a lot of smart people that have completely burned out and left the industry. I know people that have lost their minds. I lost my mind at one point when I was doing the roofing supply company. You know, it got so intense and I didn't take time off and I didn't really focus on, you know, my own personal well-being that I was 32 years old and I thought for sure I was going to have a stroke and like end up dead on the floor at any given second. And, you know, when I left that opportunity, I swore to myself, okay, it was never about money. It was about fun. When it wasn't fun, I don't care what the deal is. If I'm the president of the United States and I'm not enjoying it, I'm probably going to come out and be like, you know what, guys, I quit. This isn't right. I'm not serving you guys to the best of my ability because I'm not 100% in. So your reasons for doing it are as pure as it gets. And that's why you're the man. I know you said you did the ice cream and the roofing, but we did have a little conversation the other day. And I know there was a little period in your life where you did do something a little bit different for a living. And I think that's another, you know, reason why you're as cool as you are. Tell us a little bit about your other career that you had there briefly and how that came about.
So, in the beginning, I started doing roofing with this surfer guy, Brett, which his gift was Torchdown. Torchdown came out, I want to say mid 90s. And he was really, really good at it. There's this guy, Gunnar from Austria, where I think Dividend started from, if I'm not mistaken. And he came out to the States and he was going to the distribution and then following where these torch rolls were being sent. And then he would go to the projects and check on how they were being installed. And he came onto one of our jobs. He's like, wow, dude, I've never seen anybody do torch down this good, this clean, this fast. And so he kind of took us under his wings. Then he got us into a position where we were doing specialty jobs. And so we didn't have peel and stick back in the 90s. And so to get a peel and stick, you had to actually blow some smooth torch down. Fires went through Malibu in the late 90s. Get a Class A fire rated roof. You had to go and put torch down underneath all the tile roofing. So we met a guy in Los Angeles who started sending us all these specialty projects. Like I did the Emilio Estevez's house, Drew Barrymore's house. I got kicked out of Drew Barrymore's house because I took the skylight off. I jumped in. I tried to go and steal a pair of panties and general contractor kicked me off the job site.
A man's got to try. A man's got to try. I respect that.
I think I was like 23 at the time, dude. I was just a knucklehead, right? But like Evander Holyfield's house, a lot of Malibu, a lot of Thousand Oaks, a lot of like high-end Los Angeles tile homes were being built. And then they were calling us to do all the underlayment for it. That triggered into meeting a guy who he did part-time work because this guy Brian Wilbur up in Los Angeles had a friend, Dave Dunn. They were roommates. Brian Wilbur was born and raised in Burbank. I don't know if you're old school enough. You remember the Murph 76 commercials with Murph, Spirit of 76. He was like the gas station dude, right? Well, Murph's wife, Mamu, was from the Wrigley family who owns the Catalina Island, like the Wrigley Spearmint Gum family, right? And so she owned a talent agency. So we would go and hang out at her house in the evenings because I would get sent to LA for like weeks at a time to go and do all these homes up in LA. I would stay at Brian's house. 2 doors down was Murph and Mamu's house. We would go over there. It'd be like just random pictures in their house. In their bar was like 1950s, like decoration. But you look on the wall and there's like a picture of Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin sitting at the same place you're sitting. There's a picture of this living room on a picture hanging on the wall. So they never changed the living room, right? It was really, really cool place to hang out. And so I kind of got starstruck into the whole Hollywood lifestyle. Dave got burned out doing roofing. Dave decided to go and get a job for CBS and PGA golf. CBS, so I followed him. I kind of was burnt out on roofing, and so I was like, "Hey, dude, I'll go work for CBS too." So when I worked for now, you got to remember, I was piecework. I was paid for my power. I was paid for my production, and how much I could produce dictated how much I brought home at the end of the week. That's been my whole mindset since scooping ice cream. That's how I ran life, right? So I go and I start working for CBS. We did a couple golf tournaments, the Charger games, and it was cool in the beginning, but I never felt comfortable. I never really fit in. Like we'd go to the CBS, go film a golf tournament, and you're only on air for 4 hours, but you're there for 8 hours to collect your 8-hour day. So for 4 hours, you're just dicking around. Like you're driving golf carts around to go watch some golf. Or there was times where I was waiting for somebody to throw a piece of trash into the trash can so I can go and change the trash. I mean, it was just, the day felt like it was forever. Absolutely forever. Same thing on the Charger games. Like you're only filming for 3.5 hours, but you're there to collect an 8-hour day. And so you just sit around at the CBS, like buffet. They have, dude, the movie industry has like the best chefs in the world. They bring in these top end chefs. They just sit there and they have this all you can eat buffet type stuff. And you just sit around and eat. And like my job for CBS, I think, I would sit there and I had to make sure that the cheerleaders didn't step on the cables. That was it. That was my job. So the cameraman was running up and down the sidelines, out on the field, behind the end zone for the kicks. And I had to make sure that he wasn't dragging his cable on the back of his camera across the field. So I'd sit down at the orange corner at the end of the end zone and just make sure it 90 degreed. And as he was running back, I'm making sure nobody's stepping on it and making sure it's not getting yanked out of his camera. For golf, it was doing RF. And so on golf, if you ever watch golf, you'll be watching a shot and all of a sudden it gets all like scratchy or pixelated, right? Well, what's happening at golf is that the cameraman's holding the camera. He's shooting the action shot, the golf, the whatever's being done. It's going through his camera. It's going through a cable. I'm sitting there with it almost looks like these mic booms, right? And it's just an RF feed sending out radio frequency. And so I would sit there, and at golf tournaments, they either put the blimp up, which holds the RF tower in it, or they erect a tower. So my job is, because the camera guy's on battery and the only cable is connected to the RF. So I make sure that the RF is pointed at the blimp or pointed at the tower. Somebody walks in front of me and, I'm sitting there and you're trying not to block the patrons' views, but yet your whole job is to make sure that RF is pointed at the blimp or the tower, because the camera feed's going through the cable, through the RF, up to the blimp or the tower. It's being sent to the truck that does the editing. Then from the editing, it's getting sent up to the satellite and then back down to you, the feed for your TV. That's why there's always like a couple second delays, because of this process that it has to go through. And so if you ever saw, pixelated shot on golf, that means somebody walked in front of me and my RF to the blimp or the tower. And once again, you're only on air for 3-4 hours, and you're just sitting around for forever. And so I got burned out on roofing. I went to go and do this. The straw that broke the camel's back was I was at a Charger game, and at Jack Murphy, which is now Qualcomm Stadium, which now just got destroyed, right? It's not there anymore. They're building the San Diego State Aztec Stadium. We would sometimes not have a blimp for the beauty shots. The beauty shots actually had to get up to the very nosebleed seat, then get into the concrete pillar, climb the concrete pillar up to the light tower. So that light ring that goes around the stadiums, that's pretty much above the last seat in the stadium. That's where we would get our highest vantage point for our beauty shots coming down. Now, these Hollywood cameras and CBS and sports cameras, dude, they're $100,000 cameras. And the light ring was not vertical. It was on a camber going up, and it was a catwalk, right? It was just a catwalk, metal, rebar, ladder. Now, these camera guys that I worked with, they're very prima donna. So a lot of these guys that I was working with were for sports when golf wasn't on or when football wasn't on. These guys are doing soap operas, or they're doing TV shows, or they're doing movies, and they get treated a certain way from these prima donna actors and actresses. And then these guys go and do that same treatment to the helpers of these cameramen. And I really didn't like it. I didn't like their attitudes. I didn't like their demeanor. I didn't like their outlook on life, how they were going through every step of the day throughout life. And one time I was up there, and the guy, he brought the camera up without the Pelican box. So we had to go and break down the beauty camera. We had to go up to the beauty camera and break it down and then carry it down this catwalk. And I told the guy, I was like, bro, he was tying a rope onto this $100,000 camera. And I was like, you're not going to lower that camera it's on like a 22-degree angle. You're going to bang every rung on the way down. What are you doing? He goes, oh, well, the union says we have to have 2 points of contact on this ladder the whole time. I was like, bro, give me that camera. I'll walk that thing down there. I climb ladders every day. I came from the roofing world. And he's like, no, we can't do that. So he bang the camera all the way down, destroyed the camera. I was like, you're a freaking idiot, man. And so I was like, I'm more burnt out on this from the 4 months or whatever I did it. I'm going back to roofing. So that's when I went back to roofing. It was a cool little break. It was different, but it was definitely not those days would just get stretched out, man. Like, you're just there hourly. I was like looking for gum under tables to clean. Like I was trying to stay active and productive because I'd never been an hourly person, and I didn't last long. I went back to roofing really quickly.
It's how it normally happens. I think I tried to get out of this industry about 50, 60 times, and it lasts about, an hour and a half. I realize this is what I was made for. My limited skills, my limited intelligence, and the fact that I'm just willing to look stupid sometimes has paid off, and this is the perfect vehicle for it. So we're coming up here pretty close to our 1 hour that I like to kind of keep our shows at. We'll start to wind it down just a bit. I want to ask you a very important question. And first, I definitely want to say thank you, Eric. This has been an amazing hour. I think I could probably go 3 or 4 hours just talking with you. You've got some amazing stuff, and your personality is just awesome. I like high energy people because I'm one. The question I like to end with is pretty simple. You've got a great story, great history. You've done some amazing things, been to some amazing places. What's Eric's life look like 10 years down the road? What are you shooting for as far as, moving forward in life? I know that roofing doesn't last forever. I've been doing it 24 years and it seems like it's been about a month. You know, I love every minute of it and I plan on doing it as long as I can. But I think, you know, just it's human nature. Eventually, we're going to want to try to do something different. We only get a certain amount of time on Earth. What are you looking at getting, you know, in the next phase of life as we start to transition from one thing to the other? What's that look like? Are you going to try to leave the company to, you know, someone in your family? You're going to try to cash out and get out of the industry? You're going to stick it out until, you know, till the very end? What are you thinking?
Since I was a high school quarterback, I'm always willing to call audibles based on my environment. And so I can tell you what play I want to run, but if I scan my environment and I need to call an audible, I'll call an audible. So I'm very easily distracted because I'm a visionary, so I chase shiny things. But I'm distracted to where I'm willing to accept a new goal, a new path, a new trail. And so I look at my children and I say, okay, yeah, my son maybe doesn't look like he's college material. I wasn't, you know, and I don't even hammer him on it. And so if he wants to drop out of high school and start being an entrepreneur or start utilizing his time better, I'll support him with whatever he does. When I look at my children, one of them is my daughter is very goal oriented and wants to go to college. She wants to go to San Diego State, just like her grandma, her grandpa. And so my son doesn't. So I've now kind of made an audible going back to those warranties that I register with Owens Corning, those 50-year warranties. I'm building, just in case, a safe haven for my son if he wants to take over the company. So if my son wants to take over the company, and that's 20 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever that is, I don't want to give him a problem, right? So the way that I've registered all my warranties, I'm less than 20% of my competition in town that's actually registering the warranties. I can promise you 20 years from now, when all those roofs start failing and everybody has a block party on the street and all the roofs are failing, and Susie goes, well, I got mine covered for free. Owens Corning paid for my new roof because my contractor registered the actual warranty, right? So I know that these roofs aren't going to last 50 years. I'm registering the piss out of every warranty. More and more roofers are learning how to register these warranties. So in 30 years from now, when all the roofs that I did yesterday start to crumble apart, there's going to be a revolving door of business because Owens Corning now has to go and cover these roofs. They have to put on new roofs. They have to supply tear off labor and material to put on this roof that started to disintegrate at year 30. It's rated to 50. So my goal is to give my son a company that's very turnkey at that point, where it has a reputation that kind of, like you said, you know, you could probably yank all your advertising and still stay in business because of the quality you do, the way you treat people, and that referral basis, right? So a customer, you got to understand, in a non-door knocking world, that customer is going to Google. They're researching what they want for material. They're researching what color they want. There's nothing that separates. If they go and get 5 estimates, they tell each estimate, I want the Shasta white shingle. I want the ridge vent. I want this. I want this. Okay. You want white drip edge, right? Okay, cool. That means all 5 of those estimators are going to offer the same thing. They're going to work the same days in the week. They're going to put the same size nails, put the nails in the exact same place. They're going to work the same. There's nothing different between that because the customer picked out their product. They just need somebody to put that on for them. There's no differentiating any of that. And so just being different, setting it up to where, like, I only have a couple rules with my guys. And that is with my installers. Now we're different in California, so everybody's in-house out here, right? So all my installers, there's 2 rules. 1, treat every project like it's your mom's house. And 2, each roofer has to upload 25 photos a day. I get 5 guys on a roof. I've got over 100 pictures that day. I nanny cam those to the customer. I'm giving the customer experiences that they normally don't get when they hire a service trade, right? So I'm trying to build it to where if my son wants to take over this, it's going to be very easy for him to plug and play and do it. I just started a new company, Roofing Specialists of San Diego, got licensed in 2002. I just started Unified Solar and Roofing. And so that company is two different entities, right? So I didn't merge it. I didn't add solar in. They're two separate companies. This company can be sold on its own individually or acquired from the new company with a buyout. And so with the new company, I have specific goals with that. I want to build this thing up, scale it. Now, I didn't use the word San Diego in it, so I can now scale outside. Roofing Specialists of San Diego is stuck. Great keywords, great Google placement with the name of the company, but it's stuck. It's totally concreted into San Diego because of that name. The new one now can scale out and grow. My goal is to scale this solar and roofing company out and sell it within 10 years.
I love it, man. What an amazing vision. What a great reason for doing what you're doing. I want to say the most refreshing thing that you just said there was you support your son, understanding that maybe not everybody is college material. I got hammered a lot with that when I was growing up because I never felt that that was the path I needed to take. I never had any interest. I was pretty good in school, but I was also, pretty good at getting out of school. And I think a lot of the stuff I did was maybe as kind of like a just to show people that they were wrong about it. But it's very refreshing to hear that because it's uncommon. So that's just another reason why Eric Richardson is different from everybody else in his market and why you're one of the favorites in this industry. Wrapping it up a little bit, I think you're one of my favorite people on social media for sure. If anybody's listening or watching this and they'd like to, connect deeper with you or have a personal connection like we have with our groups, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Eric Richardson, Facebook. You just Google roofing. You're going to find me in San Diego. Just reach out, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn. As a business owner, I'm on all of them. You have to, or otherwise you're kind of in a stagnant pond. Every pond needs to have fresh water coming in, spilling over a dam to keep it fresh, and otherwise it's going to toxify.
I love it, man. That's tremendous. I highly recommend everybody follow Eric. He is one of the best for sure. I want to say again, thank you for your time today on Keepin It Rio. This has been one of my favorite interviews that we've done. And I know you're a busy man, so I'm gonna let you get back to work and just hope everybody enjoys this interview as much as I did. I'm going to drop this probably next week, so there won't be any editing or anything done like that. This is as raw as it gets, and that's what makes it so cool. So thank you guys for watching. If there was anything that we did here that benefits you in any way, feel free, like, subscribe, share. Want to get this stuff out to as many people as I can because my goal is 10 million downloads. So we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys. Until next time, this is Chuck with Eric. Hope everybody enjoyed, and